Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the Rockingham School Board meeting.
I'm going to call the Rockingham Board to order at 5:31. All members are here either by Zoom or in the room. Okay, and Jim, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adjustments to the agenda. We're going to move 7A up to right after the number 5, the minutes. Is there anything else that you want adjusted?
I mean, we can do it at the time. We do have a resignation.
Okay, that's on under 8A.
Yeah, which is, it's already on there, but just to let the board know.
Okay. Do we just have the one resignation, no appointments?
At this time, no.
Okay.
I think the only, and I don't know if, and I apologize for this, I'm just looking at it. I don't know if principals under their reports could maybe just talk about some of the openings that they still have. That, as opposed to a new item. So that's.
Just put it under their reports. Okay. Anything else that any of the board members want? Okay, if not, communications and public comment.
El Bailey?
On there, not seeing any in the room. All right, review and approve board minutes of May 1st and May 12th. Were there any corrections for May 1st?
I wasn't there.
Yeah. That was when we appointed the principal. No, May 1st was not when we appointed the principal. May
That's
1st
when we
was
did the contract.
the contracts. You were asking them. You were there for parts of it.
Did I call in?
Yeah. Yeah, we called you
All right.
for the,
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did jigs.
I'll do.
yeah. Yeah, that was when you were in California and we called you because there were a couple things that you wanted
Right.
to know about, and so we called you at that time.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So are those okay? Are they okay with those? Okay, and look, then they'll be approved as written, and May 12th. That was the when we appointed the principal.
This is
The assistant principal, right? Megan McFarland and asked for the superintendent to bring a contract back and have the contract to look at. Okay. If no corrections, then we'll approve those as written as well. Capital improvements.
So let me introduce, I don't know if everyone has met, and I'm going to try and do two different ones. Steve Horton there, who is, got Steve as a tag, and then Steve Horton is our project manager or owner's rep with our construction projects. And then also Brittany Bradley, who is with NBF Architects. And what we wanted to bring, and Steve can talk to us in general where projects are, but there's two projects that Brittany's been involved with, which is the Central Elementary School kitchen and the redesign of the entrance for Saxon's River for security. And what we're hoping for is to get some approval to move ahead because we need to push that up for project approval with the AOE. But we wanted to at least share the ideas with you, and if we need to go back and make changes, that's fine too. So I'm just kind of prepping you for everything we need. So I don't know, Steve.
Is he also involved in the middle school roof, because that was
So
on last?
that's why I just said he can speak to all the projects. So
Great, thank you.
Okay, there are a lot of them. We are queuing up for hiring a construction management firm, which we have approval from the state to do. We've been through the RFQ process with construction management firms. We have 2 that pre-qualified, and both are planning on replying to the request for proposals, which gets into dollars and cents. That's due this Friday at noon. Subsequent to that, then we would be going out to bid for the high school HVAC upgrade, bid for the high school roof, the balance of the middle school roof. Right now we have a single price to repair the auditorium area roof. We had a structural engineer analyze the snow load capacity of that roof, which is not adequate to add any more insulation than is there. So we're going to keep the amount of insulation that is there. That work starts right after school's out. As far as roofing goes, we finished today the Westminster West re-roofing project. And we are getting ready to start the re-roofing project for Westminster Central Elementary or Center School. That will also start right after the beginning of school. We did discover there after structural analysis that roof is not able to take additional insulation either. So we'll be keeping the same amount of insulation that's there. We are analyzing all the roofs at Westminster Center School for structural capacity to bear solar panels, and that's underway. The other projects, driveway and parking, we have recently received approval for driveway and parking, excuse me, at the high school. We recently received approval from the state to hire Stevens Associates to design and engineer the drive, parking, grading, drainage, etc., required to redo those driveways and parking area. Tonight, Brittany will share with us the between schematic level and design development level drawings for the kitchen upgrade at the Central Elementary School in Bellows Falls. And she'll be sharing with us the security entrance at is it Saxton or Saxton's River? I see signs for both. I know there's one. I know there's one proper way. I live in Walpole and have almost all my life, but I'm not sure I have it right. So at any rate, Saxton's River Elementary School security entrance. Brittany has a plan to share with us on that. And then as I'll close out my part of it by saying that we have started drawings on the Westminster Center School security entrance with Liz. We've met a couple times there. And finally, there's some smaller other projects that we'll be embarking on this summer and fall that I won't get into. So Brittany, unless somebody has some questions, I should say, Brittany, you're up. We should probably field any questions before we do that.
Steve, before you go on, what other projects are in Rockingham that you're considering this summer?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the question.
Which other projects in Rockingham are you considering for this summer?
Just the central Bellows Falls Central Elementary kitchen. We will be analyzing the roof there, and the Bellows Falls Middle School, and then again the high school we'll be getting ready
Yeah,
to
the high
bid.
school's not ours.
Okay, all right, that's it for this summer.
Okay, so the roof on both central and the middle school.
No, just the middle. They're gonna assess the.
Well, he's gonna analyze the central school roof.
So we'll have an engineer out and look at the central roof to see if it needs anything. So that'll happen this summer, but we're looking to move forward on the middle school roof this summer and the kitchen.
Right,
The project that we're proposing at Saxon's River would probably be later after school had already begun.
okay.
And that just has to do with lining up contractors and stuff like that, so.
Okay, great, thank you. You had a question?
Yeah, I had a question. At the middle school, there's been several discussions before you started, Steve, about Chris, help me here, the coping with the area around the roof, the side of the building around the roof. We get
The parapets, is that?
the parapet maybe, or
So, well, I've gotten some, I have a
I think
call.
it was masonry work.
Yeah, I have a call with the AOE. Tomorrow, we have a new person reviewing all of our projects, and they're even reviewing projects that were previously approved. And I'm getting questions on things like the parapet, which was the masonry work and stuff like that. And how is that really COVID related? And so, the other piece is, with the high schools, HVAC system going from 1.8 million to closer to $5 million is like, if we allocated money for like the parapets, is that something, if they're not going to approve it at all, then we would take that money.
No, I'm just talking about in terms of the need for it to be done, and whether it's Esther or not, I mean, we want to get it fixed.
Yeah, I can have Steve take a look at that. I did, because I gave him oh my gosh, these are the ones that are ESSER projects that need to move forward really fast. So, what would be very helpful, and we can kind of work on it, together, is just a whole list of those things, and Steve can take a look at all those different things. So kind of have two running lists. Westminster's doing a very similar thing, where they've got a list of projects that are not ESSER related, but they're going to use some local funds on, and Steve's helping them out with that.
Like our stairs here at the middle school
Yeah,
that need repair.
so,
One's coming, the outside ones.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Brittany, I made it so you can share. I don't know if that's helpful for you.
That's perfect. I'm going to share the Central Elementary School kitchen first if we're ready to look at that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Are you seeing my screen here? It's got
Might be helpful to make it a little bigger.
I can try to do that. Let's see. Is that better?
Didn't really change on our end.
Change
No?
the
A little bit, I guess.
No,
Hold on, let's try it. I'm going to try it one more time.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
That's better? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a look at the Central Elementary School kitchen, the redesign that's planned here. It's all based on a Kittredge equipment layout that was given to Harley. I'm missing his last name. Harley
Sterling.
Sterling, thank you. It utilizes the same space that the kitchen is in. It's just a replacement of all of the equipment. We'll be doing a renovation that includes a new floor, a new ceiling, most likely painting of the existing walls, new lighting, and then the addition of a slab out here on this east side of the building, I believe. Yeah, the east side. For a walk-in freezer and a walk-in cooler. We'll also be including, which is not really shown on this plan, but will be included in the construction documents, some kind of roof system that covers this entrance, so you're not really exposed to things like rain and snow when you're walking from, the interior of the building to the cooler and back. So that's pretty much the overview of this project. Anybody have any questions on this one?
If I just may preface to the board,
Yeah.
where this became a construction project the minute we had to move a drain. So I think what Harley in best of intents was trying to do was to do this without making it a construction project, but we really ran into some problems. We have to put in a new vent hood also, so you're punching through the roof. And so then we have to go to the historical society and make sure it's not going to impact anything of that nature. So that's why we had to go with architectural plans as opposed to just being able to pull out what we had in there and put back in new stuff. So. The walk-in cooler freezer also added to it. So, I mean, but I think that's much needed, so.
That was put in quite a long time ago.
Priscilla?
Yes. Yes, Bill?
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious if there is a local health authority that periodically does an inspection in our school kitchens.
I'm sure there is, Bill. As far as how often, I can get that information and get it back to you.
Andy, that's not necessary, but if there's a record of violations or if there's a record of concerned areas, when we go into the redesign, and this is something I should have brought up months ago, but the thought just occurred to me now. Could we, whatever changes we make in the redesign of the kitchen at Central Elementary, take into account the issues that came up maybe over the last couple of years, if there in fact were health department inspections?
I think we definitely will. I am not aware of any, I'm looking at Carrie, I'm not aware of any concerns brought forward by the health department, but we can definitely look into it, make sure.
There are also some things that are in this plan that will be reviewed prior to installation, like the location of the hand sink in relation to the location of the gas range, like things like that really need to be thought through with people with the authorities having jurisdiction in order to determine that they are in the right place. So that will happen prior to the installation of this equipment.
I was also going to add to that, Brittany, that the state of Vermont will be reviewing these plans as well prior to us starting. So the Department of used to be called Life Safety, but it's Fire and Safety now.
Okay, it sounds like the most part you got that covered then, right?
Yeah. Everything will be reviewed for code compliance in the new kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So has this plan been estimated out, kind of where do we stand in the construction process?
We have not bid it to the subcontractors. Somebody mentioned Harley trying to avoid a construction project. Harley did a really good job getting as far as he did. And I've told him that he had budgeted it for around 250,000. I believe it's closer to 400 to 500,000. We will be bidding this portion of the work out as soon as we have a builder, a general contractor, construction manager on board, presumably late summer.
When we have a final bid, Chris, we'll be coming back to the board because we have to have approval from the board to expend the federal funds on your property.
So what do you need from us now?
I was preempting that this is the beginning of our process to let you know what we're doing. I'm not looking for any motion today, just,
Right.
I think we want to know, are you okay if we keep moving forward? Because I don't want Brittany to keep moving forward and then have come back, but we wanted to share these plans with you, so.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so do you want us to tell you at this point that we are comfortable with? I mean, we've wanted this project done for quite a while here, so.
I don't think we need I'm not looking for a motion, I'm just looking for, like, you're aware of it, and if there's any, like Bill brought up a great point, let's check the health office and see if there's any concerns over there, so we'll go back and look at those, and but, wanted you to see what we are doing and moving forward, so.
Because I know we did a motion at one point about the central elementary school, but it may have been before we had to get, before the movements
Yep.
and having to do the architectural design.
Yep. So,
Okay, so I think we're definitely in basic consensus that yes, we're at that point to proceed.
I think the big one on this is that freezer cooler is gonna be outside. So it's just gonna be at the end of that ramp, and just so that you're aware of that. So that's gonna be outside of the building, it's not gonna be inside the building, so that's the only, if you will, aesthetic
Now
change.
that is towards where the old playground was.
That's in between Parks Place and the school.
In the gym. Okay, so the right hand.
So the road is right
the
here.
school Side of it, there,
If you're looking at the school, it would be on the left, yes.
and there's room to do that.
Yep.
Okay.
And I guess the other question would be, if you're changing, is there a need to check in with the zoning administrator if you're?
We will, sorry.
No, go ahead, Brittany.
We will be working with zoning on this, so if there's any zoning permitting that needs to get done, we will assist in that. So that'll be part of our scope of services.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything as far as space restrictions between the
It's
buildings.
always better.
The various setbacks and yeah. Should be all right.
This will be all right.
It may not be, since it's equipment, not a structure, maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know though.
Again, if there were any major changes, we'd be bringing them back here to you
Right.
all to review, so.
Okay. And was there something else?
Yeah, we have Saxon's River as well.
Okay.
Building.
I will stop sharing this one. Hold on a second here. Bear with me. And then we'll go on to Saxon's River. Okay, does everybody see the
Yes,
screen? So
Yep.
this is the current main entrance, between the historic building and the addition with the three doors. And basically what we were looking at here, we looked at, sorry.
Brittany, if I could just preface, just so the public and the board understands what we did here. So, earlier this year, the federal government changed how we can use some ESSER funds to include safety and safety upgrades. And one of the things they told schools that they could look at was it still had to have a COVID-related aspect to it, but how could we create a containment area that if someone were needing to, if someone came into our building who might be sick, and so they don't transmit that, so how could we contain them from coming into our building? But also, how could we contain a security and flow? So at Saxon's River here with those three doors that Brittany was just saying, if you go in there, unless you take that right and go into the office, you can basically go anywhere into the building. So that was this is the reason why we were looking to do that, was to try and do that. So, sorry, Brittany.
No, that's fine. So like Andy said, we were looking to kind of create a separate visitors entrance. So we looked at a couple options, and this seemed to work the best for the school, where we would take one of the existing windows that's in the newest addition, and turn it into a door. So it creates a completely separate entrance for visitors, but it's still facing the road and facing the parking. So you see it, and it's very easily recognizable as an entrance. And that can create a little holding cell here for all of your visitors. The receptionist would then face everyone who's coming up to the building. She wouldn't be sideways to them or backwards from them. She has a very clear visual. It pushes the principal's office a little bit further back, but still provides access for students to come in from the hallway, people to come in from the public. There's still plenty of visibility from the principal's office. We're putting in a borrow light here, so essentially see through multiple lights to see outside, but there is a window here. It provides about the same amount of space for both the principal and the receptionist. It provides less space for like the teacher prep area, mail space, but we were able to fit what we believe to be sufficient space to house everything you need, all of your mailboxes, any copier equipment, stuff like that. There's also some place for like student waiting area, so they don't have to, wait out in the reception with any visitors to the school. And there's no real addition to this building. It's just reconfiguring space within what we already have.
So none of the classrooms are getting changed at all?
No,
Just the entrance area?
This only affects the current main office space. So that's all it's basically right now, Laura's office is where the new waiting room would be. And the waiting room is where that round table is at the top, if you want to think about it that way.
Things.
And the receptionist is just turned 180 degrees because she now looks into the school basically. And one of the things we really tried to talk about and really work on is a lot of work was done on Saxon's River when they put the addition on, and not wanting to really change the outward aesthetics of that addition. And then there's also from the roof on the new addition, the roof over the doors, and then the roof coming off the old or original part of the building, they all shed right into that area. And so, because we had talked about a possible door right there, but there's a lot of snowfall right in that corner. And so that would create a whole nother problem. So that's how we kind of got to this point.
So you'd still go in the same?
Students would go
in here. Visitors would come in here.
After school has started, those doors are locked. And then anyone new coming to the building would come in through that new entrance right there at the front. So if you were a student coming into school late, that's where you would come in. If you were a parent coming to drop something off, that's where you would come in. If you're the superintendent of schools coming into the building, that's where you would come in, is that new entrance.
But the new entrance is exactly where the entrance is right now.
No.
No,
So
that's what I'm confused with.
so let me.
Can I highlight it?
It's into where the principal's office is now.
This right here,
If you turn it from the side.
no, so this right here is the current entrance with the 3 doors.
Yeah.
The area right here is the current holding area. Students come in here, this is where you come in, there's a desk here, and the receptionist is looking upwards towards this round table.
Okay.
So the principal's office is currently right here. Where
Would
that
it
you
be
can
helpful if I showed you an existing plan so you could see?
Yeah.
the inside? Okay, I'm gonna have to do a stop a screen share and then share it again here. It just is gonna take me just a minute.
Yes.
I really do.
I think it's a really eloquent solution. I really like.
It looks like it sounds right.
I wish we had just done it.
Right. Yeah.
We actually talked about like in that vestibule inside when kids come in, is there some way to put some kind of containment inside of that? And then you're talking about now you get into more fire codes and then it changes also what is there,
Sorry,
that
how it
open
feels.
area. Yeah, so
Balcony.
Can you see these now side by side here.
Mhm. So in other words, there would be a new entrance at the end.
Right, there would be a new entrance where the second window is in the principal's office. We would take that window out and put a door in there.
So the toilet doesn't move, the conference room doesn't move, the boys'
Right.
bathroom, none of that moves. The only thing that's happening is honestly is the office at the bottom of the left-hand screen is going up to where it says, I can't read up there what it says, but
Waiting.
waiting area. So you're just flipping the waiting area in the principal's office. That's literally all you're doing. And not gonna,
And putting in the new door.
and putting a, yeah, so.
Makes sense now. Thank you. Okay, anybody else have questions? Is there anything else you need to tell us, Brittany?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, and so I guess we're at the same point as far as, yes, we want you to move forward and we're kind of all in agreement on that. I'm seeing lots of good shaking heads, yes.
Excellent. And again, as we move forward with the process, we'll make sure we update the board as we're moving forward. Some of this, as we get closer to it, what we talked about with Laura is, because we don't know an exact date of start, but we're looking at somewhere in the late fall-y kind of thing, is potentially moving her office this summer, because that's when we have the manpower and there wouldn't be disruptive to students, it'd be disruptive to Laura and her folks, but we might have to rerun some phone line or something like that, to temporarily set up some office. So we started that conversation of, or you want to stay here until we wait until the holiday break and then we make a movement. So
With that being a waiting area now, is there additional wall that has to be put in, or is that?
Steve, I'll let you answer that question. You're muted, I'm sorry. So the question is with the current waiting room, the way it is configured, when we go to do construction, will we have to put up any kind of temporary walls or anything of that nature?
Oh, yes, we will. Yeah, that's already been, we started to discuss that in detail, but the answer is yes. And we will create what they call a negative pressure or air pressure environment so that all of the construction dust is taken outside and not infiltrated into the building.
And that will allow the Morris office to be moved with probably not too much disruption to anything else.
So we would just physically find a new location for her office and somewhere in the building, somewhere else.
Okay.
And we may actually have to change the student entrance during that time. I mean, those are some of the things we still don't know yet, but we've already started talking about what is the best thing to do.
So we may not be able to utilize that area at all while the construction's going on, is what you're saying. So
It's possible that walk-up area might be blocked off for student safety.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have questions?
Priscilla,
Yes.
what is the time frame we're looking at roughly from when to when while this work is being done at the school's entrance?
They're saying fall, so do you have an approximate length of time that it will take?
Yes, it's a 3 to 4 month project, not because it's significantly large, it's just that it has to be sequenced properly. And so we're planning on a 3 to 4 month duration. The timing exactly, we would like to start this fall. We have to work with the principal to make sure that we can accommodate that. We have started discussions on that, but we would like to start this fall as soon as Brittany, now that Brittany has approval from you, so to speak, she can complete the drawings and we can get this out to bid. So that's the first step, and that takes a couple months. And then subsequent to receipt of the final drawings, we have to get approval, state and local, and then finally we will go out to bid. So the ideal would be this fall, but it will be during school.
Okay. And I guess we would just say, from the board point of view, the sooner the better.
Yeah, we know. We agree.
Okay. All right. So we're all set, guys?
You're all set.
Okay. Thank you so much. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Steve.
it.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, Steve.
Nice to meet you all.
Okay, so we'll move on to finance. Jim, you're up.
Not a tremendous number of changes. But I just wanted to review page 1. And just quickly go down through some of the differences, general education, as we've stated, the early education tuition was not budgeted. And I think that was about 150,000, somewhere in that range. Under the 1501, the middle school athletics was budgeted at 0. And I just want to say, 2152, I would doubt very much if the encumbered amount of 52,000 will remain. Doesn't look like anything has been used in the last month. And I know we looked into, Andy, whether that's a 504 service for speech, special education. It's non-special education. Okay, under the school board, and again, this 42,000 that's over is both audit and legal. Principal services, and this deals with the middle school administration adjustments. Operation of facilities, and I think the bulk of it, and maybe not all, but I think if you look at it started, I guess it didn't. We had a sprinkler that let loose at Saxon's River.
I think page 13.
Okay,
You had it marked for me. That's the only reason I made it.
awesome. Thank you. Page 13.
Page 13, line 492.
Thank you, Andrew. 492 is the row, but you'll see that we expended $61,000, and honestly, that's what really put the Saxons River School over, because we had that repair expenditures in that line. We were over. Now, the one thing that I wanted to make sure you knew, and that is on the revenue side. The revenue side is on page 15. And I'm looking at line 7. It's under miscellaneous, and you'll see in the middle received, which is 57,097. Now that is the direct offset for the insurance, Visbit insurance reimbursement for the damage. So it gives you a little perspective as far as how the offset balanced out. Even though you were over, you did the money. So this shows about 12,650 right now as a balance on page 1. And again, I think I looked at the subs. although you've got the majority of the subs encumbered, I think you're gonna run about $2,000 more. So, you know, if everything pulls on the encumberment side, you may be at 10,000 for the good.
That's down about 50,000 from last time, so.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I had a couple of questions on the school board services, did we not budget for audit services?
I think you budgeted some monies, but I think, Jim, I will say, I think it was similar to insurance, where I think that people weren't sure how to discern how much should go where. And I think the audit was done in a similar manner. I mean, I don't know that there was a rationale where we asked HR Smith, RH Smith, to give us some expenditures. And so we know right now what it's gonna cost you.
And some of it was legal, you said as well?
Yes,
Yeah, and I'm
yes,
thinking that some of the audit was kind of lumped in under WNES.
I'd like,
And
do you have
and then build back
your
to us.
breakout on that
yes.
in the pages?
But, and I can show you the audit breakout as well, but, for the 2311, that is on page 10. And I think your legal is under the 341. And I think the 321 is the audit, I believe. So
Where's that?
340.
that's on page 10.
341.
And yes, and it's line 353 and 354. And legal is a hard one to really nail down. I mean, you don't know what legal situations you kind of are getting into, but
So is 354 the legal and 353 the audit, or vice versa?
I think the one that's the 17019, I believe, is the legal. That's that 5341.
Priscilla,
Yes.
point of ignorance here. Do we as a district pay legal by the hour, or is there a contract whereby they blanket or they cover whatever comes up?
We pay by the hour. And I'll go so far as to say we pay you on the minute. And so I try to be very fiscal with that. I mean, when board members ask, you know, can we check with legal? Like, it's almost better to try and bundle questions together. So, and I try to keep them under 20 minutes of a conversation, because that does happen. But the other piece is when the bills come in from legal, they don't come in divided up by different districts. They come in just as one big bill, and we have to go through them and figure out what is Rockingham, what is WNESU, what is all those different pieces. And so we try to be very aware based on the information we get from legal when they bill us. If it's a Rockingham, if we're not sure, we keep it at Westminster or at WNESU. But there are times that there are very specific things that are Rockingham, and then there are times that we might have asked a question that maybe we asked on Rockingham's behalf, but it was really an SU related ask, so it stays at the SU. You know, there is some thought that as we move ahead, do we consolidate all legal under the SU so that it's just part of an assessment as opposed to different bill outs, but that's a discussion for later down the road, so.
That's a good answer, Andy. It answered my question as to per contract with a blanket coverage or by the hour. And right now, because of my limited attention span, I've actually forgotten the original intent of my question, but I think it's been answered overall. So thank you, Andy.
Sure.
Thanks, Bill.
The other question I had was, under the principal administration service. So I know we paid the full year salary for the departing principal. And I believe we made an adjustment to the assistant principal's salary to reflect the fact that we didn't replace the principal. So the 88,000 seems high to me in terms of a negative variance.
And when I look on page 12, I think on the far right, you can go down and see where really you're over. You notice that health insurance is 32,000. And again, maybe some clerical increases.
Yeah, rentals. Wait, that's
Maybe 11, 12.
what page?
11, 12, I think.
Well, I'm looking at 12 as far as,
That's pretty.
The actual, some of those administrative costs are actually on page 10, Jim.
okay,
Right, but like on page 11,
Well, the total
It's like-
88,407 comes out. on
Yeah,
page
that's.
12, but it starts back, back.
But it's like a rentals land building for,
that's usually your copiers. That's your copiers. The lease on the copiers. It goes under that.
I guess I would just say though, I think the bulk of the differential from budget to actual is related to a lot of your administrative adjustments at the middle school.
because we've got $32,000 items under health insurance.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big, yeah.
Right. Now, one is at Saxon's River and one is at the middle school.
Yeah.
The top one, that 32,208 is at the middle school. So I think if you went through and really honed down through the differentials, including, I'm sorry, I don't have the lines on here, but I missed it.
So I think with health, with especially like around, it's at all possible with the health insurance that if one of the folks who departed, like say out of a clerical position, was only taking a single, and the person who moved into that position is taking a family, you're going to see quite a difference in that pay.
Which makes it very difficult to budget.
Yes, it does.
Well, going forward, we will know that that person, the higher rate is in there. We budgeted for the lower rate, obviously, so.
Right, but when we have somebody come in that replaces the single to the family, then it
Oh, you're so right. Absolutely.
skyrockets.
Jim, I know you're looking through, but is it all right to go on?
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to mention on page 15, which is the revenue page. Now, if you compared to what you were given in previous months, you'll notice that that we've adjusted even the adopted numbers. And the reason that I adjusted some of the adopted numbers for the on behalf homestead tax and the non-residential tax is because this under the state educational property tax, now in April, they adjusted. Now you get a lock-in, and it's not only for us, but for every other community in the state of Vermont. So I've given you this attached piece, which has a paper clip to it, and that goes through how the state has set the pieces, and you'll see the grand list. There's two grand lists that count. One's for homestead and one is for non-homestead. And actually I'm working on page 4. It says yellow 4. It kind of look like that one. Yeah. And that gives you the pieces that are set using the state grand list that's set for you. And again, that interplays with that, the common level of appraisal, the CLA. It's a complicated state property tax for sure. But I just wanted to let you know that all of the pieces now have been adjusted. And
Is the state paying more or less than you had
well,
anticipated?
see, what happens is when they're adjusting, so the homestead may go down, non-homestead may go up, and the state educational grant money may balance out. And so it's almost a self-balancing type of system, depending on the state educational grant list. Fascinating. And I did this larger sheet, which shows you, this is the calculation sheet that shows you the tax rate and how they're set. And, you know, it includes, in this sheet, it includes, and that's the very back, should be the very back. Like this includes what you also have to pay for the high school tuitions as well. And that's all integrated in that piece. So, and I just wanted to mention, so as we gave you 24 and how that's going to change in the taxes, the pieces that we don't have are what's crossed through. For instance, on line 22, you'll see way over on the right, it's crossed out because we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what that grand list piece is going to be. That we don't know what the credit is going to be. So those pieces are in flux, and we won't know that until next year. But at least it gives you some sense of how this is calculated and what goes into it. And it is all mathematical. So if you love math, this is your sheet.
So Jim, between the expense side coming out kind of close to even, but it looks like the revenue side is 236 in the hole. So
Right. Now that,
so we're looking at a $200,000 deficit
yes.
for
Yes.
Rockingham.
Correct. And that normally would be a very big concern, but we know that when the SU closes out, that you will have money that will go to you and put you into the black. So you should have some surplus
From last year.
Yes,
Not this year.
Not this year.
Yeah.
Not this year. So it is very, very tight when you think about it. That's just the calculation of tuition students at the middle school is where we went off course.
Yeah.
That's it. Not bad.
Well, and there were a number of expenses that weren't accounted for probably.
Yes.
Could be worse,
Could be
I guess, how I would sum it up.
Any word on the audit of the SU?
I ask them every week, and right now, a piece of it has been done and the SU audit is in final review.
Okay.
So I think, I don't see any changes, dramatic changes in what we were given for surplus balance. Other than there's that state special education adjustment for 400,000 that was adjusted downward. So that'll be the only one that I'm aware of. So I will continue to push. And when you think about it now, and I should say in regard to the audit, we are getting a pre-audit for 23 on June 19th. And that's so we can get in line, get the audit done. We'll have those way in advance and be able to put into the annual report all the audit information. So we'll be done.
Do we have the final copies for us?
Yes, I do. I will get those out to you. Yep.
I think we have to accept it.
Or not. I would hope that the group would accept it, even if you accepted it with reservations.
Yeah.
I just think at least it shows that you were presented
Right.
with it.
That's the idea.
2022.
Yes.
Yeah. Really later.
We have a finance committee scheduled, right?
21st.
Is there when is the SU meeting scheduled? The
21st.
21st, okay.
Any other questions for Jim? No, we really appreciate all that you've done for us. And I guess you would probably like to have
Yes.
on your long trip.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Next is principal reports. Which would we like to start? Okay, Laura, you're on.
All right. So we have 71 students in kindergarten 13, first grade 13, second grade 17, third grade 14, and fourth grade 14.
I'm sorry, Laura, 71, you said?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our attendance year to date is 92.8%. In the last 30 days, 94.3%. And just a few highlights. Let's see, we had 100% attendance at our incoming kindergarten family night, which was awesome. So it was really, really well attended, obviously with 100%, you can't get better than that, right? And we enjoyed a meal together and had like a mini morning meeting, and students walked away with a little book bag. So it was a really nice event. And as was our bingo for books, our Title I family engagement event for the year, our big one. That was extremely well attended as well. And we paired that with our Scholastic Book Fair. And all students received a book, whether they were in attendance or not. And some received multiple books because they won bingo. So it was really a wonderful evening. And the the Fall Cinema donated popcorn, which was really nice community effort. And there were 3 giveaways, including for the Parks Place event as well. We had Deb and Shelley Wilson come last Friday to review data, our spring data, and do some transitions from grade to grade with teachers. And because we have completed all of our assessments, most of our big SU assessments. And so we did that process, and we have a little bit of a deeper dive to do for individual students as we wind down the year and complete our internal assessments as well. But it was very helpful to have a kindergarten and first grade teacher together sharing kindergarten data and specifics about students that the first grade teacher would then use to plan for instruction in the fall. So thank you, Deb and Shelley, if you're let's see, today started our artist in residence with Mark Raganese, who is a local artist. He is amazing. I don't know if any of you know him. He lives in Bellows Falls, but he is working with our students to create puzzle murals. And it's just a phenomenal project. And we are putting our core values. We'll have 5 murals and core value at the bottom of each of them, and then they'll be displayed in our lobby. So it's going to be magnificent. It's already beautiful, and it's only day 1. Let's see, as we wind down the year, we're going to welcome the seniors from the high school on June 14th, which is going to be awesome. Last year we lined the halls and kids made posters and played music, and it was just a great way to not only celebrate the seniors but inspire our K-4 students as well. And our moving up ceremony and end of the year barbecue will all take place on the same day, which is our last day of school. So we have lots to look forward to, and a very short 9.5 days left of school. Yeah, it happens so quickly. And then you asked about open positions, and I don't know if this is what you're announcing later, but can I just say it? The resignation that provided for the open position?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have 1 open position, and regretfully, Stephanie Fuller, our school counselor, did submit her resignation. So we are in search of a school counselor.
Are there questions for Laura?
Priscilla, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Laura. I love the idea of seniors coming back to Saxons River and interacting with grade schoolers. Is there an opportunity whereby some of the seniors can voice or share some of the things they learned through high school, even middle school, that they would like to pass along to elementary age students as far as advice or pieces of wisdom?
There is not currently, but that's a great suggestion. I know at our past moving up ceremonies, Bill, we have invited an 8th grader who used to attend Saxons River to deliver an inspiring message of things to look forward to at the middle school. But as far as the seniors coming back to do such a thing, there isn't currently a system in place for that, but it is a great suggestion, and I'm going to make note of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
There was a question about the level for your counselor that came up. And I didn't know whether you wanted to discuss your needs in that area, or what you would like to do, Laura, versus what the requirements are for the state.
I'm happy to. Currently, we have a full-time, counselor, much like we have a full-time nurse, both of which are not technically required by the state statutes, as you may know. And so I'll just speak to the school counselor role in particular. But as you know, one of the, our goals, our meaning all of us goals in the SU is around social emotional learning. So that's one of the 3 big goals. And in particular, over at least my time with Saxon's River, there has been an increase in not only the number of students and families that are in need of support, but the intensity. And so it's really the intensity, and sometimes it's really all day long, every day, of students needing the support of a school counselor. And on top of that, my support too, to get them through the day. We have many more students coming in with histories of trauma and mental health illnesses. And in addition to that, and I know this happens at other schools too, but our school counselor facilitates all of our 504 and EST plans. And so that process alone, as you know, from being a special educator, just the paperwork involved and the coordination of meetings is very time consuming. She also currently teaches a SEL course each of our classrooms weekly, and participates on all of our teams, our crisis response team, CARES team, weekly team meetings, what else can I say about that? We don't currently have a person in the position of reboot room or a Zen-Den or a behavior support RP, restorative practices person. And so the school counselor also serves in that role.
Chris.
I'm simply going to state my opinion, which is that this in my view, is not the time to be cutting supports to students. I know it's a lot for a small school, but considering what's happened with COVID and the state of folks, and the fact that it's in the budget. You know, in my opinion, I think we should leave this for now.
I think if I could just say, I asked Laura to take a look at it and to, you know, just consider, is there an opportunity to reconsider things? And, you know, as she mentioned, like an RP person and things like that. I think Laura took a hard look at it, and you know, part of the biggest challenge is it's hard to find part-time people. So to find someone who's a part-time counselor, and then to find someone who's a part-time, you know, RP person. Sorry,
It's hard to find full-time.
Yes, well, thank you. Yeah, so but on top of that, I guess is part of it. But Laura, just as she said here, when I asked her to look at it, and I support her decision, was that she came back and said exactly the same thing, that the needs of the kids and where they are right now really warranted this. And so I just want the board to know that when Ms. Fuller did resign, that was my first question. Is this an opportunity for us to look at it? It's late. I'd love to do it sooner than, you know, give Laura and her in the building more time to really consider things. But I agree with Chris is saying, is that it's just the needs of the kids right now are at that point. So,
Well, anytime that somebody does resign this late, it's a good thing to just kind of look at, I think, and as from the board's standpoint in here, I think Laura did a great job of, you know, presenting, you know, the reasons that she feels it's very important. And having that opportunity to do that, I think is a good thing too, because that way the community also knows that, you know, we're looking at stuff, but, you know, we're also listening and being responsive to the needs that are in our community. So I think it's a good thing. I really appreciate you being able to, you know, present that to us. And,
Sure, anytime. Yeah, I think it's important for you to know like the why behind the ask. So anytime.
Okay, so I think we're comfortable with that. Or
Priscilla?
yes, Bill?
Yeah, I had a question, one last question for Laura per guidance or counseling. And I don't want to go into personnel or into executive session, but this is actually more for Andy, and Laura. Will we be looking at feedback from this person who's leaving so that whoever replaces him or her will have a better chance at getting traction as soon as possible in addressing the needs of the students?
So Bill, we always do an exit interview with all employees when they leave. So we started that practice, actually, well, as long as I've known that we've been doing that practice. But I think one of the things that I commend Ms. Fuller she is extremely thoughtful and extremely caring. She cares deeply about Saxons River, the students, the staff there. And I have no reservations that she will ensure that the transition will be as smooth as it possibly can so that our students will be least impacted by her departure.
And I'll just build on that, Bill. Stephanie and I have already started that process, and she's already created a multi-page document, organized everything in her office. She's just an exceptional employee. And as I said, regretfully, she's leaving, but Stephanie and I have also met to do like a debrief, what worked, what didn't work, what feedback do you have? I know the reasons why she's leaving, and those will be communicated to the supervisory union as well.
All right, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Laura.
Sure. Any other questions for Laura? If not, thank you so much, Laura. We really appreciate your sharing. Terry.
Good evening, everyone. So sadly, we were down a student. We had a kindergartner move to South Carolina, North Carolina, I'm sorry. So in kindergarten, we have 30 students now. In first grade, we have 29 students. In second is 17. Third is 33. Fourth is 29 for a total of 138 students. Okay. And then I just want to give a shout out to Kelly Green, who's our data facilitator, and all of our students and staff and families for their support with our VTCAP Cognitive assessments, our maps, our DIBELS, our high leverage math concepts. There's a lot of assessment that just happened in the last few weeks. So we have a lot of data. And to segue into that, we had a wonderful data meeting today with Deb and Shelley and all the teachers and reviewing all the data points. That will lead us to a little bit different than your plan today for our transition meeting. We did it to gather all the data right now for the current teachers, and then Wednesday we do a pass off to the future teacher. We have two of every grade, whereas opposed to Laura has one of every grade, so it's very difficult to get subs and get it all in today. So, and shout out to Cindy Rounds for getting our subs, so we're able to have all of our meetings too. Also, we similarly welcomed our kindergarten class in, and we had our meet and greet. We thank everybody for their help with this. We had a lovely time pizza party. Shout out to our own facilitators of teachers, and then Harley Sterling and their kitchen staff are making a great pizza for us. And we gave away goodie bags and sidewalk chalk, deck of cards, bubbles, and a lot of fun kindergarten things. A big thank you to Ella Cadamatory and the Bellas Files Rotary. We were able to do our free to read program. So every fourth grader was able to receive a handmade book bag, and in it were 7 books that were purchased locally from the village bookstore. And they were chapter books and picture books and things. The students really loved it. It was a great kind of baseball card trading. So if there was something that they might have already had, they went and traded books with other students, but they were so excited, and we really appreciate the support from the Rotary Club for this. Big thank you to our PTCO group. We just had a recent movie in conjunction with our farm to school cooking work. We saw the movie Ratatouille at the Opera House. And it was very lovely. And so the PTCO not only hosted it at the Opera House, they also gave each student a popcorn or water. And it was a very wonderful event just before the Memorial Day weekend. And yeah, that's about it. We also have our moving up ceremony on June 20th at 10:45. We will be in our cafeteria. And then we are having Fact TV broadcast this as well. And we also are looking for a second grade teacher. We have one resignation from Amanda Thompson, who is our new acquisition, unfortunately. Just had a baby and is not returning, so. We are in the process of hiring somebody hopefully soon and working on that.
And the one I sent out to you earlier, I apologize, we'd like to have it in the executive session.
So at this point, one second, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
And yours was only just a counselor, right?
Yes.
How many incoming kindergartners?
That's a good question. I think we were at 28 for us.
I apologize, Laura, how many did you say were incoming?
I didn't say, and I believe we have 15. I have to go check on the chart, but I believe it's 15.
That you just said they were 100% there, so.
How was the attendance, Carrie?
But ours was very well attended too. We had a couple of people that had communicated with us, so they had heard
No,
attendance. Oh, for overall everyday attendance.
Yeah.
Right now, ours is not as strong. It's 89%. We have several students, or a couple of students who are out for medically excused long-term absences. That's really affecting our monthly and our year-to-date attendance. So, but we know that, and we're working on tutoring and accommodating the students. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Carrie?
I just before we jump to Henry, just because it affects our elementary schools, June 13th is the Reading with Ribby night.
Yes,
with the
thank you.
Swamp Bats in
Thank you.
Keene. And so we've had a tremendous turnout of students participating in the program across ESU. Last year, we reached out to the Swamp Bats to get involved in it, and the president said, "You got people over on that side of the river who'd like to do this?" And his name is Kevin Watterson, and I said, "Yeah, let's try it." We tried it. We got a good showing last year, huge showing this year, to the point that they've expanded that program into almost all of Windham County now. So the Swamp Vets have had to go to 2 nights of Reading with Ribby. What happens is the students who participated and met the requirement are invited to a game. They get a t-shirt, they get to go out onto the field. So, you know, just a celebration of their accomplishments. And so, you know, the Keene Swamp Bats are all about community, growing community and supporting the community. So it's been a great relationship. And so, you know, I think I feel grateful that our principals and our students were willing to get involved in it and growing it just within the whole county. So I think we put together a bus for families who might be in need, and they should contact the different principals of their school if there is a need, and we can let them know where the bus will pick them up and get them over there and get them back. So
Great, sounds good.
Priscilla?
Anything else? Yes, Bill?
Yeah, just to ride tandem with what Andy said along the reading theme. And Andy, thanks for your efforts with the Swamp Bats in Keene. There's a lot of ways you can mix reading into a child's life so that it's more appetizing instead of waiting for high school or perhaps even college for that to sink in. But my question was for Carrie. I was curious if she had ever considered or have done this in the past, a blanket reading night with families. In other words, mother, father, guardian, reading with children on a blanket, let's say in the cafeteria one night a month. I know of another elementary school where they did this, and they put literacy at the top of their list of goals to improve, because they had a lot of ESL students, but they had a lot of poor readers and a lot of students that came from households where there was no books. And so Bellows Falls has a lot of households like that where there are no books to read. And so I applaud the book exchange idea. I think it's crucial. If we give our students, and this goes up through high school, anything, it should be a love for reading, a love for curiosity, a love for searching out their own answers and becoming somewhat independent as to what they are fed on a daily basis through, their general surroundings. But Carrie, just to put that out to you, I don't know if you've considered a family event centered around reading.
So we just did on May 4th. I did get a chance to share that out. So we had a reading under the stars and we did exactly that. We had a pop-up tent, well, multiple tents in the cafeteria. We had little lights hanging down. We had a great group of staff that were responsible for organizing that. And so it was a math literacy night. Very well attended. I don't have the statistics exactly, but it was very well attended. We had a lot of families came in. We did just that. They were reading underneath the tent. It was not lovely enough weather to be outside, but they were inside in the cafeteria reading there. And we posted pictures on our Facebook page. It was wonderful. The kids really enjoyed it, and everybody walked away with a math game and tools to take home with that, and also a book that they were able to bring home too. So we will continue though. So a great segue.
That's great. So do you have an event planned for this coming fall?
Hopefully in the fall, we will have another one. I don't have details yet, but yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else for Carrie? Okay, and thank you. Henry.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So middle school, 241 students currently. We have 60 fifth graders, 46 sixth graders, 66 seventh graders, and 69 eighth graders. And our attendance rate for the month of May was at 90.4%. So we're still staying above that 90% mark, which is what we like to see. A lot of awesome things going on at the middle school. Last week, we had the opportunity to go to a Fisher Cats game. We saw the New Hampshire Fisher Cats play on a glorious day. It was about 85 degrees down in Manchester, New Hampshire. We took 165 students and about 20 staff members to the game, which was a success. We even had we had 4 eighth grade students get invited onto the field in between innings to play a little musical chairs. We had students getting bats and baseballs handed to them from players and autographed. So it was a great time had by all. Also last week, our 7th graders took part in a regional competition in Brattleboro for, they did solar car projects over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So there were about 43 total teams from around the region who participated in this regional race. And we had 2 teams out of the 2 of the 6 teams that are going to the finals are actually from BFMS. So it was pretty awesome. The kids were pretty excited to show off these projects. They tested them originally up in the church parking lot, which was pretty cool. And it was quite a big buzz that Mr. Flood, our 7th grade science teacher, and Meredith Wade worked together on these projects with the 7th graders, and they came out pretty awesome. And all the kids, like I said, were pretty excited. And I have some 6th graders who are heading up into the 7th grade next year who are already buzzing about it and checking in with Mr. Flood to make sure that this project is going to continue. So that was pretty cool to see. The PTO is back up and running and looking to run their first dance this Friday night, June 9th from 5 to 7:30 at the middle school. Not sure what we'll get for a turnout, but we do have parents and admin who are signed up to chaperone this dance and hoping to get some kiddos out on Friday night for a little excitement in the school gymnasium. We have our tree giveaway pickup will be tomorrow. So Jigs, I promise tomorrow by 5 p.m. all those trees you see out in front of the middle school will be gone. All the families signed up for those to pick those up between 3 and 5 tomorrow as part of that Vermont Green Initiative that we discussed at the last board meeting. So we got rid of over 150 donated trees that are scheduled to be picked up tomorrow. So that's pretty cool. So move up ceremony for the 8th grade will be at the middle school Friday night, June 16th at 5 p.m. in the auditorium. So it'll be held in the auditorium with refreshments to follow afterwards. We have a few positions still open at the middle school. We have 4 open positions still. We have 2 that we're confident about. We offered an 8th grade science position today to somebody who interviewed with us last week. So we're hoping that she will accept the position, and also confident about our plan for, we only have 1 applicant for our health position, but confident that because it's an internal candidate that we'll be able to work something out with that applicant. Still hiring for art, which we're doing. We have interviews set up for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So any board members that might be available after school on Monday or Tuesday next week that would like to sit in on some art interviews, that would be greatly appreciated. PE, 6th grade math, and 8th grade math are the other 3 openings after art that we still have out there. Unfortunately, we have 0 applicants currently for those 3 positions. So we're refreshing those on, I should say, weekly. Nicole's been doing that for us, hoping to get some applicants to come in. But other than that, just working with the SU for some other solutions on how we can try to fill those vacant positions.
Henry, it was the PE 8th grade math. What was the 4th?
Yeah, sorry. So 8th grade math, 6th grade math, PE, and art.
Yep, good. Thank you.
Yep. At this point, if there are any questions.
Priscilla?
Yes, Bill.
Hi, Henry. 2 questions for you. When you say health position, do you mean home ec?
No, it is not. It is not a home ec position. It's like an actual health teacher to teach, healthy lifestyles, healthy living. That's currently how it is structured this year. So that is not like a home and consumer sciences position.
But this is the same position that we were looking at about a month ago, in which there was 1 applicant?
Yes, correct. Health sciences. And that's been refreshed, and we still only have the same applicant who is still interested.
Okay, well, keep me up to date as to what happens, because I'm still interested in
Okay, yeah.
helping out with the interview process, because I think it's important.
Absolutely.
The other question was there media coverage of the solar car event?
There was actually, and we have some pictures that were posted in our weekly newsletter, or I should say bi-weekly newsletter that came out this past week. And I know that some were sent to Kate as well at the SU. I think that we'll see those surface real soon.
Will they be sent out to board members?
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Would you send it out to me? Because I'd like some visuals, because I think that's very, it's noteworthy, and it's worthy of being encouraged, that type of creative thinking, and actually future engineers.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Priscilla.
Henry, the health, that is one that will incorporate some of that family and consumer science things if they can, right?
If they can, correct, yes.
Right. So you said you have an applicant for the science, you are interviewing for the family and consumer science health position?
That's correct. Well, we only have the 1 applicant who's an
Just 1, okay. And the art is open, the 2 math positions and PE still.
Correct. And we have interviews. Jen Cravino setting up interviews for art. We do have 3 applicants. So she's looking at Monday and Tuesday of next week to set those up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions for Henry? Caitlin, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you. When were the math positions posted?
Oh, let's see. So one of them's been posted since April, the 8th grade math position. In the 6th grade, that's only been posted for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And Caitlin, just so everyone knows, what happens is when you post something on School Spring, right, the next person who posted it goes above there. So what we have is Nicole keeps refreshing it, so keeps to be pushed up, so that it becomes, anyone who is searching for a position, it kind of pops up. We want it to be one of their first things they see, so.
Yeah. And is it just on School Spring right now, or are there other places that we've used in the past to find candidates?
Yeah, we use Indeed. That seems to get quite a bit of, so the 2 are linked. We've also been publishing in the Reformer and the Keene Sentinel. Trying to, we have that going out. We advertise on social media platforms to get it out. We've used another online kind of like a blog, but it's a ed called 802 Ed, which is a Vermont specific.
So we put that out. We're going to be putting out a new ad with them to try and generate, see what we can generate. So.
And then one last question. Do you have or have we had in the past any like direct connections with colleges or universities in the area to see if there are any recent graduates who might be qualified or interested?
Yeah, we reach out to all the local schools. We've had a pretty healthy relationship with Keene State, and just math is a very, very difficult position to fill, and so we also reach out to Castleton and try and work with them. So we usually send any announcements to both of those two schools. Those are our biggest ones. Trying to think of the other one, Deb, it's going off my name. Antioch, is it Upper Valley? Upper Valley. We try and work with as well, so.
Okay. Sounds like we're doing what we can, and hopefully we'll keep posting it, and hopefully we will have somebody decide that they want to look at that. Okay, contract is executive session, which is the next thing, so that's down under number 10. And testing data, we put that on there because we had it scheduled to be presented to us, and then he had this illness, and so we put it on for tonight. I think for tonight, what we're asking for is specific questions. If you have specific questions for Deb that she could answer regarding that, and maybe next time, if there's more time, she can present a little more detail for us. But if we have specific questions.
And Crystal, I will say, just for future, this is the time to start talking about data, because if we would have tried to talk about data in May, we didn't have it yet.
Yeah.
So it really is better to wait until this time of year, or even a month later, after we've talked about it with the teachers and all the assessments are done and we've got the results. It's a much more meaningful conversation.
When are the results? We've had the first statewide testing, and we've also had an MCAT.
Maps. Yep, we just finished. We have another third assessment that we're utilizing that gives us that finer grain of data that we talked about. We just finished that on Friday. The state test, we finished a little bit ago, but we won't see results for that until we just heard August or September.
Okay.
So, but we do have our local assessments. I mean, those we just, like I said, we just finished. So we're doing that work with teachers right now. It's helpful. It would be really helpful to know what you want to see, what you're wondering, so that I can really tailor something to bring to you. In July.
I think maybe specifically the growth over the year, to see, where we're at, if there has been some, and hopefully we're going up, and hopefully it's improving. And you test 3 times, right? So we should be able to see the comparison, and it'll be the same group of students that are testing. So that's a good thing as well, so that you can compare those and tell us where you see the real need and what is happening with those students.
The map tests go from, is it 3rd grade or second or 3rd grade to 8th?
We actually use math all the way down to kindergarten.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I think it's less accurate as we get younger, because they're so young with computers and the mechanics of utilizing a mouse, and so we try to look at multiple measures to really think, are these all lining up to tell a similar story about a group? Because if they tell a different story, then that's good to know, dig in a little deeper.
I think we had a discussion at the WNESU meeting back in, I think, May. And there was a lot of discussion about the special ed kids taking these tests, and disaggregations and aggregations and all of that kind of stuff, which I think is kind of meaningless, particularly when you're looking at results that show, so many kids in the red. It's kind of academic. I mean, so I think that what I took away from that discussion was, I think the boards are going to need some help from you in terms of where we should be focused. Okay. As Priscilla said, I think clearly what we're looking for is improvement. But we want to see obviously it's voluminous what you have, and I think it's so important to tailor it so that we're focused in on where we should be focused in on. So that would be my suggestion. I mean, obviously, whenever you're ready with the map results, I'd like to have our board see how the kids did. But in terms of making it a meaningful discussion, I think we need a little help in terms of focus.
Great. I'd be happy to do my best.
Thank you, Deb. Anyone else want to? Caitlin?
Oh, yeah, I would just echo the same thing. I think like as a board, although I am new on the board, as far as I understand it, when I think about my role, it's in trying to support the SU in making decisions that prioritize and support the goals that we have academically for students, as well as all of the goals that we have fiscally and the responsibilities we have to the taxpayer. And so I think understanding, we know that we are coming out of a tough year and a tough several years, and we know that the test scores have been very low. And so knowing that tests are not everything, but seeing a trajectory of growth and understanding what's driving that growth and what resources, what supports, what strategies you're focusing on as a result of what you're able to see either in the maps or like when you are able to get more granular with the dibbles. I'm curious too, if there's anything, I'm not as familiar with math. So if there's anything that's an equivalent for math, I think like I have done a lot of work with science and reading trainings and with foundational literacy and seen such like tremendous results from that. And so that's really exciting to see that that's something that's happening and being worked on. But I'm curious if there's something that is sort of equivalent and foundational for math, since we see so many of our students struggling with it. So that's what I'm thinking about when it comes to testing and what that testing reveals about where there are priorities within the school, and then what that means for the supports that are most useful for students and for teachers and administrators, and being able to support all of our students in being in a better place.
Thank you, Caitlin. It'll be good timing because we will have, once school lets out, there's a handful of teachers who are going to meet and work with our math coach from All Learners Network to do exactly that, to think together about how can we create what we need to think diagnostically about math regarding our students. So I'll share more to come on that in the works.
Were there any other questions?
Priscilla?
Yes, Bill?
Yes, hi, Deb. My thing is literacy. And I'm curious if through the local or state assessments, we look at verbal expression.
That is very hard to measure. Our state assessment looks at, it does break things down into categories: vocabulary, informational text, and literary text. So we get a little bit of information around vocabulary. One thing I'm very curious about in relation to that is our DIBEL system will provide even more tools for looking closely at things like vocabulary. So we have another measure of that. So that's, we don't have that piece yet. It's a newer, it's what they consider a dyslexia screening tool. So it's specific to looking at a couple other pieces of information, verbal being one of them. So I think that's a really good thing to bring up. And, perhaps I could bring out the vocabulary piece to look at closely in July, but it's something we're thinking about for next year, a handful of us, so.
Yes, I appreciate enriching students' vocabulary. But when someone meets a student for the first time, and this is throughout their lives, you are judged by how well you express yourself verbally. And it was kind of a loaded question because I know the state and local assessments do not address verbal expression, other than determining if there's an issue going on with a student. And I understand that that's very important, but it can't end there. We need to look at we need to look at, when I say assessment, I just mean encouraging students to speak, to communicate, to look, to put into place, to put into practice what they've learned, their vocabulary, their sense of self-confidence. And maybe we need, even at an elementary level, perhaps certainly should be considered at a middle school level, public speaking. So I'll just leave it at that, but I think it's been an area that has not been addressed enough. And I just want to echo the previous comments. The last 3 years have set us back. And we are fighting that. That's why the assessments are lower than we want. There's fallback when you cut off resources to students. And we're seeing the fallout from that. Whether it's in-person instruction, whether it's communicating with their fellow students, etc. So I'm hoping this is a learning experience for all of us. And anything that we can do to promote public speaking, confidence to speak, is going to be a win-win for our students. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Bill. We're not going to dig into it right now, but I do know there's a lot of schools that are focusing exactly on that in our district right now. Accountable talk and really encouraging kids to use their language to show what they know. So I think we are all aligned, which is a lovely thing. It is.
Thank you very much, Deb.
I look forward to seeing you in July.
Okay, we're on new business, appointment, resignation. We had a resignation. And the letter was sent to us from.
We're requesting that is an executive session.
It's, all we have is the letter, so.
I understand, I think given the language for why we go into executive session, I can't think of it, but I don't want to jeopardize the candidate or the teacher or anything of that nature.
We can do that. Okay, it's the discussion of the tuition policy. I sent you the draft that I had from Westminster. Did anybody need a copy? Do you need a copy of that?
I haven't.
You have one. You got one. All right. Chris brought up that he thought there was one, but we do not have one as far as we know. That's why Westminster did one and why we felt that we needed one. I don't know whether we want to do that. We'll do a discussion on it tonight or just take more time to look it over. It's up to the board's decision.
I have a comment.
Pardon? Go ahead, Chris.
And I did look at what you had done, and I did look at the policy that Westminster had. I question whether Westminster's policy is legal. It wasn't a policy. The statute says.
Forget by how you speak. Speaking confidence.
Section 823, Title 16, tuition for elementary students shall be paid by the district in which the student is a resident.
Yes.
End of story. It doesn't say anywhere you can make an exception for some people who were your employees, but they come from Halifax or Springfield or something. It does say, and I'm speaking to the section where that Westminster has.
That's why there's a question mark there. And it's
Yeah,
in
I think,
because I didn't.
I
think we
would want a lawyer to look at that.
I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't
I don't
want to
think we
use,
want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to use Westminster's policy.
And the other part of Westminster seems to be a lot of dancing around special needs, which I thought was, again, toying with legal problems.
Absolutely.
This is very clear. If you want to attend, your kid to attend another district, you can ask the board, that's in the statutes, you can ask the board if they'll pay. If they won't, you can pay it yourself. It's the end of the story. And the other thing I did, I looked at the Vermont School Boards Association policy manual, and they pulled that policy for review. So there isn't even a policy available.
No, there's
from the
not one in there.
Yeah, from the BSBA. So my feeling is that we should set this aside until the BSBA does come out with a policy. We can look at it. The statutes work very well. There's a set of statutes that defines residency. It's very clear. Then there's this statute. And this statute also says districts can enter in agreements with each other to do other things, but it's not part of a policy. You can do that anyway, because it's in the statutes.
Right.
You know, so if Westminster and Rockingham, I'm not saying I support this, but if two districts wanted to have an agreement where they gave each other a break on tuition or something, they could write that up and do that under the statutes.
The
I don't
only thing
support.
I looked at specifically strongly was that section D, which talked about waiving some, and I don't think, like you said, I agree with you. I would question the legality on that. That's why I changed it with the question mark to be should be granted priority over other non-resident students for any space available, possibly if the board wanted it that way. But all the other requirements would be, in other words, paying tuition would be required. They would need to pay tuition. The only big thing for doing a policy in my mind was to avoid maybe the ones last year that were wanting to come and wanting to not have to pay tuition, but yes, they need to pay tuition. And then when we said we were willing to accept them if we had the space, if there was permission, you know, as long as the tuition was paid, then the other school board said we were not willing to accept them, and that was not really the case. So if we had this policy in effect sitting there, or something similar, it doesn't have to be this one, but something similar, then we could say, no, we are willing to, if there is space available and tuition is paid. And that's what's in our policy. That was when Jim brought it up. I thought, yes, we probably should have something.
Well, the other thing is that obviously, there were previous boards have basically said, sure, you can come and not pay tuition. So I mean, it's
No,
so it's
not really happening.
it has happened. It happened when you were sitting on the board.
I was a member of the board. Yes.
And so I think there is value in having a very brief policy that basically cites the law that, and when I looked at this policy that you sent us, I would put, after number 1, I'd go to payment of tuition. I would cut all of that other stuff out because it's basically said that you want to do it under legally federal state regulation and states available. The board sets the tuition rate. That's it, done deal. I mean, it's just to me, it's better to have something that's legal, very brief, and makes it very clear that there is tuition.
What's the time?
Earlier, so I don't know, if they were gonna come out with their policy in the next month or two or three, that'd be one thing, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
let's wait.
It's
See.
one other just point of information when I was on the searches, there used to be a policy about residency. And they've pulled that. Now they say, don't have one. It's all in the statutes. So this may be another case where they say, it's all in the statutes. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna say, but I like lawyers to write or at least review policies. I'm very uncomfortable with board members writing them or amending them. Sorry, I mean, I know you made these efforts out of good faith, but we're not qualified to write a school policy.
Well, I mean, this is just, and this is just a start too, to get people thinking about it and discussing it too. So, you know, it doesn't have to be, Andy, go ahead.
So, there was quite a healthy debate at the Westminster Board. I will share, I cautioned the Westminster Board around this policy. It was vetted by our attorney, prior to it being adopted. But I'm happy to go back and on behalf of the Rockingham, Board and take a look at it. I don't, and I told the Westminster Board, this, I don't support the policy. I think it creates some imbalance that doesn't need to happen, and it can create animosity between boards because there is a statute, there are the pieces that are in place, but the Westminster Board did spend quite a bit of time on this policy, going back and forth and checking with our counsel on it. So it wasn't just done in a, so.
Okay, so let's look at maybe shortening it up in the next month. Seeing what the AOE comes out with, the SBA comes out with, and seeing what they do with it, and then we can talk about it again at another board meeting. Okay, director's comments. Caitlin, let's start with you.
Just want to say thank you to everyone who is currently wrapping up the end of the school year and also wrapping this meeting up. I appreciate just hearing about all of the hard work that you're doing and appreciate having gotten to be a part of some of that work through the interview process. So I'm excited to continue to hear more as you wrap up, and good luck to everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Bill? Bill, did you have any director's comment? Okay, Chris?
I don't know if Jim was going to speak to this last time at the end of our meeting. He commented about some concerns about the food program and overages, and I kind of didn't want to just leave that comment hanging there. That we did talk about that at the finance committee. We got quite a bit of detail about what was revenue streams and where that stands. And I know in my mind, I think it's pretty under control. I think there is going to be a deficit of between $0 and $100,000 probably for this year for the food service. And I also think, you know, we haven't increased apparently that assessment for 4 or 5, maybe since the beginning, maybe 5 years. So it will be time when we come to budgeting, I think, to bump that up a little bit to reflect what was going on. But I came away feeling pretty confident that we were in good stead, and we have a fantastic food program. You know, kids are getting really good meals here, but they just don't get food like this in other school districts, so. Encourage folks out there to take advantage of it. That's wonderful food. Jim can disagree with me or agree.
Okay, Jim?
I felt better after our meeting at the finance committee meeting about the situation with the food service. So I think that it's a broader issue than just a budget issue, and so we'll continue to work on it. My comment is I made a similar comment at the SU meeting. We've now been 2-3 years talking about the impact of COVID, what it's done to our learning of our students. We're now officially post-COVID, but we're never going to be post-COVID really. But the fact of the matter is that we've devoted, with the federal government's largesse, tremendous resources over the last year and a half to try to help make up for the deficit that had occurred. And I think that I think I'm looking at a future where I don't hear any discussion at this table or any of our tables, any of our board tables, about what we've learned from COVID and what we're doing to prevent that kind of a learning loss if for some reason a new epidemic or a new something else came up. We know that we were ill-prepared, our teachers were ill-prepared to teach remotely, but yet I don't think we're doing anything to encourage our teachers to continue to develop a skill in that area. Because we need to adapt policies and procedures in our schools that basically reflect what we've learned from COVID. And as a general feeling, I just think that all of us, school board members, administrators, and teachers and students, we need to raise expectations. If one of the implications of COVID is that we dummied down or we lowered the standards, we need to say, hey, no, that's not right. We have to increase our expectation. And I think, I hope in the future that our boards and our administrations will be discussing what we've learned and how we've implemented procedures to prevent that kind of a learning loss in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Priscilla?
Yes, Bill, I called on you, but you didn't hear us, so I will come back to you.
The issue is on my side, and I apologize. My thumb gets overactive.
You're up.
Yeah, my thumb gets overactive, and I hit it, and I shut off. I put the speaker on mute. So let me take advantage of my position of speaking after everyone else had their say. I want to resonate with everything everybody else has said. Caitlin's messages, and also Chris's, as far as the importance of readjusting the budget to reflect what it costs us to feed quality farm to table food to our students who otherwise would not be eating nutritious food. Very, very important. I wish I could scream from a rooftop and get that message out, but it's extremely important to have our children eat non-genetically modified foods, organic foods that are locally produced, so that we see a continual cycle of benefits on a local level. And also what Jim said, as far as not accepting lower end expectations. But on the same side, I don't think we're going to make the inroads in remote learning, especially with our special education children. They need face-to-face time. And that's what we're fighting against, the fallout from that lack of face-to-face time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And yes, for my comment, I would say, we were told 9.5 days to go. They are some of the more stressful days of the year, really, really difficult. So hopefully we can encourage parents and students and community to just be so aware of how wonderful our staff is at all 3 of our schools, and that they can send some appreciation to our principals and our staff at those places. Just remember to be considerate of everybody. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual matters where premature public knowledge could place the board and or the individuals at a disadvantage, and invite administration. And do we want Kate and Kate Kane and Deb to come in with us?
And Henry, if possible, also.
I said
Yeah,
administration, so I covered it.
All right.
Principals and superintendent. So who wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, Jim made the motion, Paula, to enter into executive session at 7:32 to discuss personnel, a contractual matter where premature public knowledge could place the board and or individuals at a disadvantage, and invite the superintendent, administration, and Kate Kane. Caitlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
So I'll move to approve contract for, let me get her name right. Megan McFarland as assistant principal of Bellas Falls Middle School for the 2023-24 school year, as presented by the superintendent.
Any discussion? We approved her appointment earlier, so we're just approving the contract. Caitlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, so that's been approved unanimously. Do we need a motion on the other?
I believe so, yeah. I mean,
Do you want one?
Do you need specifics?
Or do you want to wait until they're filled? What's the preference?
Well, I think we
Andy,
should.
what's your preference?
I mean, it would help us to have a motion because it would allow Carrie then to move forward to work to fill those positions.
So, move to accept the resignation of Kate Kane contingent upon her vacant position being.
I would say the teaching positions, because we've got 2 at that level. The teaching positions being filled in Rockingham schools.
So both positions, is that what you want?
Yeah, because I don't want it to say, oh, that one's filled. We still have the other one open, so I think we need.
Okay, contingent upon the teaching positions at the Central Elementary School being filled.
Not acceptable candidates.
Well, that goes without saying.
You want to say second grade?
No,
I mean, there's no other positions.
They're listed as elementary.
Right, okay, yeah.
And so it'll be open, so.
Okay,
Are filled
we're
for
ready.
the 23-24 school year with acceptable candidates. Okay. Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that was unanimous as well. Date of the next meeting, there was not a date on there because if we had one the third Monday, that's a holiday, it's Juneteenth day, and I don't know whether we need one at this time. That's a really busy week.
I just might ask that if Carrie has candidates that we could
Do a special
maybe try and
meeting.
call a special meeting just because
For sure.
that would be,
Henry may have.
and Henry, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to leave Henry out, so.
Don't leave Henry.
And Laura, I mean, I think Laura's actually speaking with someone also, so I want the board to know, like, many of these positions that we talked about today, many of them, there's candidates in the wing, it's just finalizing some things to bring them, so we might need to bring a whole bucket of candidates, which is a good thing, so.
And the point is to not wait, because if
Right.
you wait, then they could decide it would take you
Yep.
too long and they want to accept something else somewhere else, so it's much better to move quickly. Okay. All right, so in that case, we will probably schedule a special meeting to do that within the time frame before our next one, and then we can assign.
When is the next one?
That's gonna be a
The
problem
third?
too, because the 3rd of July would be the next, so whether we do the 17th of July. That's a long time, but if we have special meetings, it won't matter.
I'll be away. I'll be away.
We'll be away, so we can't have that dagger insert.
I may be away.
But I'm there the week before.
If it's a Monday, should be.
Okay, well, we certainly want to have it before the beginning of next school year.
Sure
Okay.
do.
You'll have to just notify us.
We will work from there, I think. Okay, so in that case, unless there's objections, I'll call the meeting adjourned at 8:05.
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.